babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a dead old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Alright, good day, good evening, good morning. Good morning to everybody, good evening to everybody. It must be in the, late night, wee hours of the morning in the US. That would be around 1 a.m. But it's the wee hours of the morning on the flip side. It's 7-something a.m., almost 8 a.m. in the EU. And yes, you are listening to V Media, American-born, deep roots American who happens to live outside of the US and the EU, reporting again to the faithful Americans, those Americans that want to get the big picture, that want to get the big view on things, on life, what it is worth. And I can think of no better person than Bob Marley to be singing some songs right now, freedom songs of freedom, like get up, stand up for your rights. But, what's the other song? War. You know what I'm saying? Until the philosophy that holds one race inferior and another superior has finally and permanently been abandoned. Everywhere there's war, and even in the United States, there is war. You may not know it yet. You might think that you're just about an everyday thing, going out and getting a sandwich. Some of you, on the flip side, might think you're on a normal everyday day in the U.S., going out and putting on your police uniform. Wrong. You're not. You're actually at war. The only question is, whose side are you on? Some of you might be getting out there, putting on your fancy new ATF uniform, FBI uniform, and you might be thinking you're out for just a normal old day. Let me just oppress the liberals. Let me just do my political thing. My president won, and I'm just having a regular day. This is what we do in America on a regular day, right? Some of y'all might be thinking that wrong. You're at war. You just haven't figured it out yet. The question is, whose goddamn side are you on? There's other people that are coming outside, trying to mind their business, go to school, little kids walking to school. They're at war. They're not just walking to school. They're just not headed to school today. They're actually at war. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when they figure it out. There's people going outside, going to teach at schools. You would think that a teacher would be allowed to be a teacher. Nah, it's not one of those days because you are at war. Yes, you are. You are at war. The delivery man delivering the food to the grocery store, you're at war. Somebody's coming to cut your deliveries off very soon and your job. Why? Because you have been a part of something that has been what I call slow walked. You're being slow walked into the disaster. But there's some people that already know you're at war. And those two people, their faces are on the screen right now. They know what they're doing. And you just saw them meet yesterday. Yes, you did. You heard all about it in the Americana news. You heard all about it. Your proud president going to meet someone he doesn't even have to meet, going to meet someone who can't even, whose army can't even beat a small Ukrainian army. You see? I mean, Ukrainians are on the soil. It doesn't matter what weapons you gave them. They're on the soil spilling their own blood. They are at war with Russia, spilling their own blood. And Russia is hiring prisoners from North Korea to fight, can't even beat, still can't win. How long is it going to go on? It's like 1 million people dying in Ukraine over one little short, stubborn dictator who won't fucking leave, who's been in power for what? How long? How long do you need one person to be in power, Russia? How long? Well, the United States is headed there too, except this time, the American people are not so easy because the American people would prefer a civil war than to live like Russians with no rights. And that's what this is coming to. Now, you don't have to call it war if you don't want to. You don't. If it makes you feel any better when you leave the streets and you see all of a sudden the military on your doorstep asking you what the fuck you're doing on your porch, you might not call that war, but what they found is a mechanism to do it. See, as long as you say it's legal, as long as the Supreme Court says it's legal, then guess who's going to put the military on the United States people? Trump. And guess why he's going to do it? You know why he's going to do it? Because somebody got videotapes of him that he don't want people to see with little people from his trips in Russia. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much the same reason why he's sitting there giving handouts and concessions to Ghislaine Maxwell, because somebody else got pictures that the FBI is sitting on right now. Why? Because they have been a part of the scam. Yes, they are at war. They are at war. Pam Bondi is at war. But whose side are you on? Cash Patel is at war. But whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? Because the American people with guns, no, you're not on their side because you're hiding the Epstein files. You're keeping the secret. You're keeping the secret. You're trying to pull one over on the American people. American people know waking up in the morning and having the military at their own doorstep obviously is not normal. You can't convince the American people that that's normal. You have to be retarded to think that that's normal. Yes, you do. Now, this has been a plot. It has been a plot for your ass. It's been a plot for your ass. But they've been slow walking you. And this plot has been an ongoing plot for decades. Most people don't have the attention span to be able to understand what type of covert plot this is. But it is an attack on the United States of America. And the attack cannot be an attack if it's not an attack on the American people. So are you under attack, American people? Because if you are under attack, your government is under attack. Your military is under attack. And you military people, don't try to act like this is normal for you. Don't try to act like this is normal. But it's going to come a day where you're going to have to put on your big boy pants and stand up. Supreme Court, you are in total violation. You are capitulating to a far-end government. You are directly implicated and responsible for aiding and abetting Vladimir Putin in an attack on the United States of America and its people. That is what you are witnessing. You're not witnessing anything else. You're not witnessing anything else. You are not. You're not. I wanted to take my time here because I can. American, born and raised with deep roots. My family on both sides go all the way back to the beginning of the country. So I love my country, but I live outside of my country. I live in Copenhagen, Denmark, a place where everybody has health care, universal health care. Everybody has universal education. You wake up one day and say, hey, I want to take this great trade skill. You do it because your taxes pay for it. You just go and do it. Get up there and do your best. Go be your best, the best you can be. And then get out there and get you a job and help pay for somebody else to be their best too. It's called collective bargaining. It's nothing special. The best education on earth doesn't have to be the most expensive. Just like those cheap ass jeans you go out there and spend, you could go out there and buy all the Louis Vuitton jeans you want. It doesn't mean they're going to last 2 days given a hard day's work. It doesn't mean they're going to last as long as some Wranglers. Okay, when you have to put in some hard work. They cost you more, but they ain't worth shit. Okay, and that's the same thing that's going on in the U.S. with healthcare and education. So I have those things living outside of the U.S. So I wasn't in a rush last night. It was my first day off last night. I was kicking back. I had my kids. I'm planning a little boat ride today with my little kids on some newer little electrical boats with the mama to just go have a nice little weekend and kick back. I'm not in a rush, but it's my duty to drop bombs on the enemy of the United States of America. It's my duty. So I take pleasure in it, and I will be doing that until the day I die. I was born for this. But let's get going. Let's see what the news. Let's see what the news has been saying. And if you don't think the news has been taking a dump on Donald Trump, I can only ask what damn news you've been watching. I can only ask that. I mean, where do I start? Do I start off with Fox News? Fox News has been banging on this dude, man. Let's start here. I don't even know what to say. Is it even Fox here? I don't know, y'all. I don't even know. But let's take a peep. Let's take a peep.
Really, allude to anything other than there's one big sticking point. Well, in the war in Ukraine, that one big sticking point could be NATO. It could be territory, right? So the one big thing could be a really big thing. And then I should note,
This meeting didn't even have to happen.
We all know, we've worked with presidents about these kinds of summits. You don't give away presidential time even to a loyal ally for nothing. But here's what Trump did. He agreed to a meeting because Putin asked for it. Then he agreed to host this guy in the United States of America. And then he agreed on top of all of that to have a meeting without anything agreed ahead of time. Usually in normal diplomacy, the agreements are done first and you bring the presidents in to sign them to finish the deal. This was the exact opposite. And now we're left hanging that we don't know what was agreed to. The minimalist thing we thought we would get these are the president's words, not mine, is that there would be another meeting, a trilateral meeting. That was not even announced at the press conference today.
There's so little we'll watch and see what we learn. What we have to bite into right now is really the optics of this, and we have all been to summits like this, all of us actually. I guess that makes us a very nerdy group of people, but we've all planned these summits, been a part of these summits in different ways. Let me ask you, Ben. I mean, I just outlined some of the things that struck me. You have planned more of these.
You know, this is interesting because somebody said Trump's not in a position. Let me see here. Trump's not in position to. Yeah, Trump is practicing fascism, indeed, Ellie. And Trump is not in a position to make deals in Ukraine. Absolutely not, because look at this. How could you be in a position to practice to have any type of position? Let me get my words together. I'm sorry, y'all. How could you be in a position to do anything when, again, Putin definitely, obviously has compromising things on Trump? I mean, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. It's a duck. This dude, Trump, whenever it comes to Putin, whenever it comes to Netanyahu, he seems, but especially even more so Putin, because Putin can get him to go out there and set up meetings where he just dogs walk him. What you just watched was the United States president, the most quote unquote powerful man in the world, go to his knees, be brought to his knees. And of course, Putin is sucking it up. He is going to suck it up.
We all know, we've worked on about these kinds of summits. You don't give away presidential time even to a loyal ally for nothing. But here's what Trump did. He agreed to a meeting because Putin asked for it. Then he agreed to host this guy in the United States of America. And then he agreed on top of all of that to have a meeting without anything agreed ahead of time. Usually in normal diplomacy, the agreements are done first and you bring the presidents in to sign them to finish the deal. This was the exact opposite. And now we're left hanging that we don't know what was agreed to.
Well, the people that agree with Trump, that think Trump is some sort of like Ike P. I don't even know. I mean, you must be out of your mind, Ike P. Because if Biden told the U.S. military to come to your town, if even Obama did it, you would be flipping out. You know, you would be saying the same thing. You would be saying, uh-oh, you know, something's gone wrong with the USA. But here's the thing. They never did. It's Trump that's doing it. It's Trump that brought in who? Elon Musk, an immigrant, a naturalized immigrant, a person who has no blood ties to the United States of America, to raid your grandmother's treasury, to get ready to dismantle your Medicare, your Social Security, to get all your private information. That's what Trump did. Did Biden do that? Did Obama do that? I mean, again, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm curious about is, when is the U.S. military going to respond? Because this is obviously the toppling of the United States of America through toppling its president, one individual. And if you can topple that one individual, you can threaten the United States and its people itself. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening.
Thought we would get, these are the president's words, not mine, is that there would be another meeting, a trilateral meeting. That was not even announced at the press conference today.
There's so little we'll watch and see what we learn. What we have to bite into right now is really the optics of this, and we have all been to summits like this, all of us actually. I guess that makes us a very nerdy group of people, but we've all planned these summits, been a part of these summits in different ways. Let me ask you, Ben. I mean, I just outlined some of the things that struck me. You have planned more of these and what they should look like, and where presidents should stand, where they should meet than most people. What are the things that stuck out to you about that could have a lasting impact? Because that's really the important question here.
Yeah, I mean, Jen, you'll remember for 8 years I was in charge of the presidential travel and these kinds of arrangements, and I've never seen anything remotely like this. I mean, first of all, literally rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, and having the president wait there to greet with him. And bear in mind, this is what Putin wants. He wants to be seen as an equal of the U.S. president. He wants to be seen as being brought in from the cold in terms of any isolation from the West. He wants to be treated with the
Somebody doesn't have any clue. Therod says better than nothing, better than sending weapons and making it worse. You don't follow the news. The U.S. is selling weapons to the EU, who's giving weapons to Ukraine right now. Are you out of your mind? The only difference is that instead of doing it in advance to stop an impending war, they're doing it, and they're doing it late to make money off of war. And you don't watch
these
the
kinds of
news much.
trappings. And bear in mind, he made no concessions. Russia has not changed its positions on the Ukraine war 1 inch. Their positions are still recognition of all the annexed territory. Ukraine can't join NATO. An end to this war on our terms, on Russia's terms. No concession whatsoever, and he gets this kind of royal treatment. And then, secondly, I was surprised he gets in the presidential limousine. Right, that's kind of usually a sweetener that you give when the
Exactly, Scarface. He's talking about it is better than sending weapons. Trump just sent two nuclear submarines over there, according to him the other day. People are out of their mind, yo.
when things are going well with another leader. And look, you might say that's worth it if you really think you're going to dig in and sit there for hours and hours and hours and actually negotiate something. But then they come out with no agreement whatsoever. And then you have the strangeness of Putin speaking
Well, if you don't read the news, Therod, watch the news. What the
first,
fuck?
which, again, I don't mean to harp too much on these things. I know it sounds like we're just talking about optics, but the reality is that allowed Putin to frame the meeting in his terms. And his terms are, we're great friends, we're your neighbors. Oh, by the way, we're here in Alaska, which we, they is an unsubtle message. They sold it to us. It shows that territory can go back and forth, just like we're doing a land deal.
Okay, so understand this. What Putin is talking about when he's talking about Alaska used to be part of Russia, he's talking about colonial Russian history. The same thing is like what other countries have their colonial legacy when they went out and conquered indigenous people, right? That's what Putin is talking about. One of the first groups to colonize America was the Russians. They're not the first, but they're one of the first. And they had colonized parts of Alaska. They first went out, just like all the different colonial nations, started trading, doing small trading with native tribes. And then after a small amount of time, after they learned a little bit about the native tribes, they committed genocide against them. And they took the land. And there's a famous wars about it. It's all documented if you want to get into that history. So Putin, for people that think Putin is anti-colonialism, wrong. He's referencing the colonial period of Russia, which he holds dearly himself. So sometimes I think people act like he thinks he's a counter to colonial behavior. He's not. He's part of it. There was an era of colonial history, and that part in Alaska is part of colonial Russian history. It's not the only part, by the way. It's a huge part. Russia was trading and mediating between other colonial nations in America, also settling beefs and arguments that they had in writing. Yes, some of it was about the exchange of goods. Some of it was about the exchange of human beings, slaves. Some of it was some of it was just about, okay, look, these two groups are about to mess things up for us all, so let's go in and mediate and stop it. That's Russia's history in America. But let's continue.
And again, those optics are very powerful, as Mike knows well, in Eastern Europe. The idea of two leaders of big superpowers coming together with maps in front of them without the representative of Ukraine, the country that was invaded, in any way in that meeting. That's an optic too, right? We're here, we're in a bigger weight class than these other guys, right? That's what Putin wants. And he's talking about, we're going to do business, and he's talking about the future potential of the relationship. That's a part of the presentation of this. And then Trump looked like he knew that he had nothing to say. And look, I mean, the most optimistic version of this is that he has nothing to say because he's got to check.
We're going to play some propaganda Fox News also. Don't worry, since you don't like what MSNBC has to say.
Check back with the Europeans and the Ukrainians. But he didn't really, allude to anything other than there's one big sticking point. Well, in the war in Ukraine, that one big sticking point could be NATO. It could be territory, right? So the one big thing could be a really big thing.
All right, let's get to the next one.
Well, it's 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and we already know that Donald Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska ended with the only way I can describe it really is a low-energy press conference that lasted all of...
Look at this. Pam Gator says, Native Americans come from Siberia, Russia. Who cares when you committed genocide against them? Duh, did you not know Russia committed genocide against Native Americans in Alaska? Hello, why wouldn't you know that? Learn your history. Learn what the native people that you're talking about that you say come from Siberia, learn what they said about what happened in Alaska.
12 minutes. It was hardly a press conference at all. Not only because they didn't take a single question from the press, the United States delegation who had traveled all the way to Alaska with them, the Russian delegation, many of them state-run, but they were there too, but also because they had literally no updates or details whatsoever to share with the public. I mean, this is pretty much...
Now, what happened here is very simple. They have something else going on, which is why they're not going to release it to the public. This had nothing to do with Ukraine. Maybe they talked about Ukraine, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that this meeting was about that was not about Ukraine, which is why they couldn't have a lot of questions from the media, which is why it had to be, short, precise, which is why Trump had very little to say or report on this. Number one, just the fact that Trump is meeting with Putin on American soil is a win for Putin. Bravo, Putin. You used those videotapes with little girls very well, like an expert. Everyone should clap for that because Trump threw his dick out on the table like only a pedophile would. Who knows if he really did it, right? But apparently a lot of people seem to think he did, and he acts like he did. So he must have gotten or seemingly got caught up in some compromising situations where people like this guy, Maxwell, what's the dude, Epstein, and Putin must have gotten some information on it. And they're using him like the dog that he is. I mean, when you have pictures like this on someone that is powerful, hey, they deserve to be used. I mean, and they deserve to have it, they deserve to have the knife just jammed in their ribs every single day, because only a disgusting person would go out and do this. So kudos. But when it comes to the American people, be careful. Because that shit got to stop right there. You can extort him all you want, but when you use him against the American people, against the American military, against the U.S., well, then there's something else. That means you're at war with the American people. That's what that actually means. So let's continue.
Much all we learned about what they discussed behind closed doors.
I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the U.S.
Many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there.
Here he is talking about an imaginary conversation. He can't tell you what's significant or what's not or what's insignificant. He just have an imaginary conversation about something significant and insignificant. Can't tell you what it is. Is it butter prices? Is it eggs? What are we talking about here?
But we have a very good chance of getting there.
I have no idea how to translate for you what
exactly. Richard. De pedos.
Trump was trying to say there. It was a collection of words. That's what I can tell you. But the big winner of today's summit, outside of all of that, what we just saw,
it was a collection of words. Indeed.
Was undoubtedly Vladimir Putin. And that has been true since the summit was announced. I mean, a decade of isolation.
Did y'all see Trump walking out before Putin even came out? The dude was like staggering from left to right. I mean, the dude can barely walk.
The isolation from the international community ended today when he was welcomed back onto the world stage, thanks to Donald Trump.
It's the
Meeting with
ankles.
adversaries is something American presidents have done for a very long time, and they absolutely should continue to. That's how you make progress, how you end wars, how you negotiate peace. But the optics of such meetings are always a choice. And today, Trump literally rolled out the red carpet on American soil for the Russian dictator. Trump and Putin then rode together without their aides in the presidential limo known as the Beast, which is something that rarely happens with a U.S. president. I can probably count a handful of times in the two presidents I worked for and any other world leader, and certainly not with an American adversary. Typically, there are weeks of preparations for meetings like this, for a good reason, to map out all of the scenarios, to map out what you want to accomplish and where you want it to go from here. And typically, the hard work of deal making happens on the front end, before the leaders meet. That was clearly not the case today. And maybe we should have expected that, because the guy who repeatedly bragged about ending this war on day one of his presidency has spent the last several days working to lower expectations. And
Oh, yeah, he's enriched himself every day of the presidency. I mean, nothing happened on day one except him being enriched. His family has made more money than they've ever made in their entire lives. And they have no accountability with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has been paid off and bought, whether partially extorted or whether it's under the table money, or whether it's blind, allegiance to going back to the slavery days and trying to find out reasons why voting rights should not exist, and when you're, why you shouldn't be a citizen anymore if you're born in the country, trying to unravel all the way back to a time where a lot of these people's family didn't even exist in the country. I mean, Trump's family is third generation American. That's not long. His granddaddy came to America and had a baby. Boom. Gotcha. He was an anchor baby, right? His daddy was an anchor baby. Trump's, Elon Musk, not American. Sean Hannity, immigrant. All these people, all of them are basically immigrants. None of them really, very few of them, even the Heritage Foundation, only 1 out of 3 of the founders has half of his family that go back to the Civil War. The rest of them don't, nowhere close to the Civil War. And this is what you get from their leadership.
And that obviously is quite telling. He told reporters on Air Force One that he did not know if they could negotiate a ceasefire today. And Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has tried to reframe the meeting as a listening exercise, which has all sorts of meanings. But all of this comes as Russia is continuing to make military gains in Ukraine, as Europeans are nervous about the United States' withdrawal as a leading supporter of Ukraine. And as polling released just yesterday by Pew finds.
Yeah. What's up with the race card? With the I agree with that. It's interesting how the Trump administration plays the race card on immigration. When they say immigration, they only mean Mexicans. They only mean certain types of people, people that look different from Sean Hannity. That's what they mean, right? And they don't really mean immigrant. Their issue is not with immigrants. Their issue is with people that look a certain way. While Sean Hannity himself, he doesn't have deep roots in the United States. Trump doesn't have deep roots in the United States. It's just that simple. Most of the Heritage Foundation founders don't have deep roots in the United States. They don't come from anywhere near close to where the Declaration of Independence was created, from where the other amendments, the 14th Amendments, things that the civil wars were fought over, 15th Amendment, they'd have nothing to do with that. Their families have zero to do with that. Their families are not connected at all to this. Only one of the Heritage Foundation family members actually has a relative that goes back that far. That's not like most African Americans' families go back to the Civil War and before. Yes, and other people, a lot of other people. But we're just saying this right wing in America, largely their leadership doesn't have that. They cloak themselves in the idea of the American flag, but in reality, they have very little connection.
Finds that 59% of Americans say they are not confident in Trump's handling of the war, while only 41% say they are. There are many big questions. I have very smart people to talk to, but one of the big ones is, where does this leave us and what happens now? Joining me now are former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, my colleague Nicole Wallace, host of Deadline White House, who has been talking about this for many hours. I've been watching her, and Ben Rhodes, former Deputy National Security Advisor. Ambassador McFaul, I know you've been talking about this as well, but I want to start by asking you, you have staffed these meetings, you've planned these meetings before. We all have so many questions, but what are the big questions you have right now?
I have no doubt a lot of you trolls are actually Russian trolls, you know, paid from some Russian farm, getting paid a penny to be on the internet and make a comment. I have no doubt about it.
Right now.
Well, the biggest question I have, of course, is what did they talk about?
If you're a Russian troll in the comment section getting paid a penny to come out and do some work online, part of the disinformation campaign, put a 1 in the chat.
What did they agree to? President Trump alluded that they agreed to something. Putin himself used the word agreement, at least through his translator, but we don't know any of those details. I suspect they're probably thin. There probably wasn't much agreement. If they had
Thank you, Fitzy. At least you got enough balls to admit it.
Concrete, you know? They would have told us about it. They would have taken questions. But that's all a mystery.
And that's, my goodness.
Just to get back to your...
I mean, if you're going to be a troll, at least be proud. Come on, Bertie. Come on. Thank you. Jesus.
Your intro, which was perfect, about setting expectations. We all know, we've worked with presidents about these kinds of summits. You don't give away presidential time, even to a loyal ally, for nothing. But here's what Trump did. He agreed to a meeting.
That's what he did. That's what he did. Now, look.
Well,
okay.
It's 8 p.m. on the East.
Now, let's continue forward. Hold on, let me see. Because there's some Fox News coverage here that is just excruciating. Excruciating. I don't know what the hell is happening, but it is very, very bad. It's very, very bad. I don't know what to say, but when Fox starts dragging the president of the United States, that means things are very, very bad for people. But in any case, let's show it. Let's see here. Fox, man, wow, I might have to start watching Fox. They decided to get sane, a little sane on things. I don't know. But in any case, where are they at? Let's see here. Fox News. Where y'all at, y'all? Here we go. What the hell? Excuse me, 2 seconds. What's going on with this? All right, here we go. Sorry, hold on. Come on. Just a little dragging and lagging. Here we go. I think it's this right here. All right, so here we go. Sorry about that, y'all. It's the I had to switch over to the internet to the instead of the Wi-Fi over to the Ethernet. Now check this out. This is Fox News reporting. This is not NBC. This is what typically is very pro-propaganda arm of Trump's campaign. I mean, you rarely see Trump. You rarely see Fox News go against anything that Trump says. They usually back him up verbatim no matter what happens. If the stock market goes down and Trump says it's best and it's better than it's ever been, they say it's better than it's ever been, and here's why. If you know, all kinds of things are going on like this, you know. They call, if Trump says executive orders are constitutional law, Fox News says, yeah, if he writes it, it's law, period. Nothing you can do about it. But here's Fox News on this matter. And you tell me if you agree.
And me both, Brian, and everyone else in this room was also surprised. You know, we were told that we were going to have an opportunity to put questions to both leaders after a joint press conference in the event that the meeting went well enough that they could set the stage for a second meeting. And the President, Trump, said if that didn't happen, he was likely to call off the joint presser and just address the media solo and then send Putin home. Neither of those things happened. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first.
Now, this is Fox News saying that there was a few things that were very unusual. Do you agree with Fox News or do you disagree with Fox News? If you agree with Fox News, if you agree, put 1 in the chat. If you disagree, put 2 in the chat.
What's really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first. I mean, we are on U.S. soil here, and address the press first. I mean, we are on U.S. soil here, and for a few things that were, and just address the media solo and then send Putin home. Neither of those things happened. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first.
Okay, something that's very unusual that Fox News is pointing out, right? They're saying that it is very unusual for Putin, for the person that is the guest, to come out and address the news media first. So they're saying that's unusual. How many of you think that that's perfectly fine? If you think that's perfectly fine and that that's normal, put a 1 in the chat. I'm going to sit back and watch. Put a 1 in the chat if you think it's normal that the visitor is the one who addresses the press first. Haven't seen any MAGA folk put anything in the chat yet. Do you think it's normal? Do you think it's normal that the visitor addresses the press first in the United States of America? Here we go. See here, good. I'm glad, because this is what we call anthropology. That's why I'm asking the question. I want to actually get the evidence there for myself. Even if you're a troll, join in, no problem, because we can figure that out too by, folks go in and look at profiles and see how old they are and stuff like that. But in any case, yeah, okay. Tom Williams says absolutely not. Okay, I don't think any American, anybody that's been living in the U.S., anyone who's been watching, following political events of the president, at least, would think that it's normal, but apparently there's some people in the chat that think it's normal. Okay. Interesting. I don't see why that would be a Republican or a Democrat question. To me, it's just observation, Does that happen in the U.S. normally, or does it not? But there's some trolls in there that seem like, okay, let's continue.
First, we are on U.S. soil here, and that left the media scrambling to get their headsets in. Usually it is the leader of the country, the host country of a summit, that speaks first and addresses the room in their language. But Putin started right off in Russian, and we all had to get our headsets on and listen to him rattle off this diatribe about the history of the U.S.
Okay. Fox News. Again, this is Fox News for the MAGA lovers out there, for the people that agree with Trump, because usually Fox News is verbatim supporting most things that Trump does. Not all things, but most, right? Now, she says that Putin, the Fox News journalist here on the scene, reporting to the rest of the international Fox people that watch Fox, she's reporting from Anchorage, Alaska. She's saying that Putin began with a diatribe of, a litany of words and statements about the historical perspective of Alaska and Russia's relationship with Alaska. And again, we already talked about, for those, this should interest a lot of people around the world that claim that Putin is anti-colonial, right? Helping, that he's part of the anti-colonial, anti-establishment, anti-homogeny, anti-this, anti-that, type of thing, anti-neocolonialism. Well, what he's talking about is Russia's history in America being a colonial nation, having trade, and then moving on to exterminate the natives of Alaska. So that's what he's discussing as heritage. So just an interesting point.
Russia, about the history of the U.S.-Russia relationship, making some allusions to something that we didn't get many details on, but also, without knowing the full background of it, there was something that he said that was a little bit alarming, I thought, that seems like some of the things that he has done in the past, setting up false flags and that kind of thing, saying that we hope that Ukraine doesn't do anything to sabotage the progress that we made today, knowing full well that Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire unconditionally for the last several months, and it has been Russ first.
Okay, so for the MAGA people, don't worry, I'm not asking the liberals or the left. I'm going to ask you all a different question. But for the MAGA people, is this reporting? Would you say that this is on a level of 1 to 10? How would you rate this reporting from Fox News on this specific issue? Just today, just now, just this reporting from 1 to 10. Only the MAGA people, only the MAGA folks, only the people that support Trump. I want to get your views. How would you rate this reporting from 1 to 10? Go ahead. Put any number in from 1 to 10. If you're a supporter of Trump, give your rating of this reporting 1 to 10. I'm saying 1 to 3. Okay. Keep going. 0. Okay. Robert P says 1. So you don't like this reporting, and you don't like this reporting. Would you say that this reporting is disinformation or just poor journalism? You can just comment disinformation or poor journalism from the same people, from the same Trump supporters. Is this disinformation? Okay, I'll play it again. Boxing Life said he missed it. This is Fox News. Let's go.
And everyone else in this room was also surprised. We were told that we were going to have an opportunity to put questions to both leaders after a joint press conference in the event that the meeting went well enough that they could set the stage for a second meeting. And the President, Trump, said if that didn't happen, he was likely to call off the joint presser and just address the media solo and then send Putin home. Neither of those things happened. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first. I mean, we are on U.S. soil here, and that left the media scrambling to get their headsets in. Usually it is the leader of the country, the host country of a summit, that speaks first and addresses the room in their language. But Putin started right off in Russian, and we all had to get our headsets on and listen to him rattle off this diatribe about the history of the U.S.-Russia relationship, making some allusions to something that we didn't get many details on, but also, without knowing the full background of it, there was something that he said that was a little bit alarming, I thought, that seems like some of the things that he has done in the past, setting up false flags and that kind of thing, saying that we hope that Ukraine doesn't do anything to sabotage the progress that we made today, knowing full well that Ukraine...
It seems like the Trump supporters in the chat are split. It seems like you're split between poor journalism and disinformation. Her purposely trying to misinform the public versus just poor journalism. Accident. She hasn't been to school long enough. She's, So it seems like y'all are split, actually. Okay. Now, the people that are not Trump supporters, the folks that are not, right? The people that believe that Trump is a problem for the United States of America in every way, shape, and form, especially the everyday taxpayer. The people that believe that, do you believe that her reporting in this instance is solid reporting, or do you believe that it's I don't know. I would imagine most of the people on the left agree with her reporting. Like, I saw what she saw before I even saw her reporting, myself. I mean, I was watching the news while I was at work, so I didn't do it live, at that time. But when I saw her reporting, I was like, yeah, this seems like solid reporting, But then again, I'm an actual real American whose family goes back to the colonial period on both sides. So I'm not too Democrat or Republican. I'm American first, right? Although I'm a Democrat, but I'm a centrist. So I don't always agree 100% with how Democrats do things. But generally speaking, I believe in healthcare for all because I have it. And I have a pretty good life in Denmark, in Copenhagen, Denmark, right? With universal healthcare, universal education for all. I believe in those things. I believe that's an issue of intelligence. It works. And I believe it's an issue of freedom. It works. People take home more money in their pockets here in Europe after they pay for their essentials, their housing expenses, their electricity, their water, their education, their health care, taxes. All together, they take home more money in their pocket every month. And in the US, people take home less after they pay all their expenses. So for me, I do lean left because Democrats seem to think that healthcare should be cheaper. They do think that people pay too much for healthcare in the United States. They do believe that people pay too much for education in the United States. So, of course, I would support that. But people in the left, I know the folks in the right, you guys are really, you're having an exciting moment here, and you can't help yourself. I get that. But about this reporting from the left, what do y'all think about it? She sounds pretty left-wing to me, if you ask me, her reporting. Let's hear it again. This is Fox News.
Brian, and everyone else in this room was also surprised. We were told that we were going to have an opportunity to put questions to both leaders after a joint press conference in the event that the meeting went well enough that they could set the stage for a second meeting. And the President, Trump, said if that didn't happen, he was likely to call off the joint presser.
Right. Now, Trump, going into this meeting, he seemed pretty tough. He seemed like he was giving ultimatums. He did give ultimatum. He gave Putin an ultimatum that if he didn't cease fire, if he didn't stop attacking Ukraine, that there would be sanctions. Trump just forgot all about that. And now he's having this meeting in Alaska. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Left or right, Democrat or Republican? Do you think Trump capitulated on the sanctions on Putin? I mean, to me, I think he capitulated full stop.
The media solo and then send Putin home. Neither of those things happened. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences.
How many of you think Trump should stop having meetings with Putin about Ukraine? Totally. Because I know a lot of MAGA, Trump ran on the thing of he's not going to spend time on foreign wars anymore. That's what he ran on. But here he's having a meeting. This goes against his own campaign promises. How do y'all feel about that, MAGA? Do you think it's okay anyway? Do you think that it's just fine that he capitulates on all campaign promises? I mean, the only one that he hasn't capitulated on, but he has a little bit because his thing about immigration is not comprehensive. It's only wandering the streets looking for random people. That's not really comprehensive. That costs a lot of money. It's not as effective as Biden was, I would say, or Obama. Biden and Obama sent back a lot of illegal immigrants, but the ways that they went about it didn't disturb everyday life. So you didn't necessarily see it, in your face like that. Trump, you see it in your face, but you don't ever get any data on how many in reality, right? So what do you think about this? Trump, is he capitulating on his campaign promise? Is he still dealing in foreign wars here when he meets Putin to have a summit about the Ukraine war? I mean, is having a summit about the Ukraine war, is that dealing in foreign wars? It doesn't seem like MAGA folks want to deal with the fact that Trump said that he is going to stop dealing with these foreign wars and actually still is talking to Putin about some war that doesn't involve the United States. This is very interesting. It doesn't seem like people that support Trump have standards. Like they don't choose something and stick with it. They seem to change and just say, okay, every time, like the Trump supporters capitulate almost more than Trump on this matter, I think. And it's just really weird. It's really, really strange if you ask me, but it is what it is. It's how it's going to be. It's what people voted for in a lot of instances. Let's listen to what Trump actually had to say, and Putin. Let's listen to him ramble a little bit. Let's see here.
Quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump...
Look, he just said Trump was wrong. He said every time Trump goes out there and says, when Trump says, if I was president, there would be no war, he's saying he could guarantee there would be a war. Hold on. Let me bring that back. Did he just say that? What? What the heck?
I'm saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm.
Okay. He's saying, I think I understand what he's saying. It could be taken either way. He's saying if Trump was president back then, there would be no war. But Trump was president. Trump was actually the one before Obama that was sending weapons to Ukraine. Trump himself said that Obama didn't support Ukraine enough. What is that? What's up with MAGA folk? I mean, do you guys hear this stuff, or is it just that, to me, it's amazing because Trump was the president. Trump did send weapons and aid, and he literally criticized Obama for not sending enough. He said Obama sent soft stuff they couldn't use to win. I mean, that's Trump's own words.
Confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very...
Okay, this was the back end of Putin's speech. Putin spoke a lot longer than Trump, but I will play some of that too. But let's hear Trump.
I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on. Most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO.
Okay, so there's no deal right now, y'all. According to Trump, there's no deal until there's a deal, and there is no deal. So he had this meeting. There was no deals in advance of it. Nothing.
In a little while, I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting.
Okay, so he is dealing with Zelensky with Ukraine problems. Is the Ukraine problem, is that an American problem? Is that a USA problem? How does Ukraine affect American citizens? What happens in Ukraine? I'm asking the MAGA people. How does what happened in Ukraine affect Americans? Because before, MAGA people ran on the platform that it doesn't. They ran on the platform. It's Democrats that ran on the platform that what goes on in Ukraine affects the Western world, including the United States. MAGA people said it didn't and stay out of it. This is really interesting. MAGA people don't seem to have memories of their own comments. So, in other words, MAGA didn't run on the platform to stay out of foreign wars, right? That's not what you ran on, right? So you didn't run on the issue of stay out of Israel, right? Stay out of the Israeli-Palestinian. You didn't run out of Ukraine is not our problem. Stop sending them weapons. You didn't run on that platform. Why would Trump be having a summit when it doesn't involve him? To me, I can't figure it out because he says two different things, you know? He ran on a platform and he's not sending them weapons directly. He's selling weapons to the EU. The EU is giving the weapons to the Ukraine. So is he involved? Is the U.S. involved? Or is the U.S. not involved? Interesting.
Ultimately up
Doesn't seem like MAGA's too clear about that one.
to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and
they're not going to answer the question.
John Radcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing.
Okay, so this isn't really about just the Ukraine war. This is about doing business with Russian business people, okay?
We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen.
Man, Russian TV is literally running, right when he's speaking, they're literally running nude pictures of his wife on TV. This is crazy.
Things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all. But we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax. But what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us.
And just, you see that? You see? And what else does Trump say is a hoax? He says the Epstein files are also a hoax. That's what he says. I mean, he says the Epstein files are a hoax too. So MAGA people, are the Epstein files a hoax? MAGA folks, let me know. Are they a hoax? Are the Epstein files a hoax? Trump says it's a hoax. Are the Epstein files a hoax? Are the Epstein files a hoax, Jason N? Trump said they're a hoax. Are they a hoax? MAGA people don't want to answer if the Epstein files are a hoax. That's interesting. Trump said it was a hoax. MAGA people don't seem to believe it's a hoax, but they don't want to say that. It's interesting. Notice how many people, I'm glad I have the chat on replay too, so folks that come later and don't see the live can watch it. Look at how many MAGA people in the chat will not answer if they believe Epstein files are a hoax. None of them. Notice that. Take note of that. They don't believe it's real and they don't believe it's a hoax. They don't know suddenly. So are the Epstein files real? Are they real? These people are crazy, yo. Listen, are the Epstein files real or are they a hoax? It's called anthropology. Check this out. It's the data in real life. They can't answer. Trump says it's a hoax. They don't want to answer that. Why does Trump say it's a hoax? What's the hoax? Why is Trump not releasing the Epstein files? Okay. So the Russia was a hoax, and the Epstein files were a hoax, according to Trump.
For us to deal as a country in terms of the business and progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. It made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. It made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. Many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. It made it a little bit domestic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax. It made it a little bit.
So that's very interesting. Trump believes that the Epstein files were a hoax, and he believes that the Russia stuff was a hoax, that there's nothing real to it. That's what a hoax is. And that's really interesting. Let me see here. Let me go into the files and see if I can pick out something where Trump is saying to the American people that there's a Russia hoax. He says it so many times. I'm pretty sure I have it here. Let's see here. Is it this one?
This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful.
Hold on. It's not that one. Wait a second. Is it this one?
Look. Let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to get there. It's one of the older ones. This is crazy. Trump really likes this hoax thing. Wait a second. Did J.D. Vance even say it was a hoax?
President Julie Carr-Smythe from the Associated Press. I guess I'm going to be that person. There are some protesters outside accusing the GOP of protecting pedophiles, and we're wondering what you think are the reasons the U.S. government should shield the client list of Epstein from the public, and what you have to say about any relevance to that here today.
Well, let me say just a couple of things. First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the attorney general to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that stuff. You've got to redact some victims' names so that you protect the victims. But the president has been very clear. He wants full transparency. He's asked that from the attorney general. And I know, because I talk to her all the time, the attorney general is hard at work on that issue right now. But I think I got to make an observation that there's an interesting thing about this case that the American media seems to totally ignore. For 4 years, under Joe Biden's Department of Justice, the media didn't give a damn about the Epstein files or about the Epstein case. For literally 20 years, the story about this scumbag, and he is a scumbag pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, he's dead now, but for 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case. And now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency. And somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump and not Barack Obama and George W. Bush. If you want to criticize the people who aren't showing full transparency, you ought to go after the administrations that went easy on Jeffrey Epstein, the administrations that concealed this case for 20 years, and the administrations that failed to show full transparency. Donald J. Trump, I'm telling you, he's got nothing to hide. His administration has got nothing to hide, and that's why he's been an advocate for full transparency in this case. He's going to keep on being an advocate for full transparency, but while we're focused on that case, Donald J. Trump is also worried about making sure these great workers get more take-home pay and better jobs, and that's the focus of the administration.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office. It's sitting on my desk right now to review. A truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Bingo. Bingo. I'm just doing what the MAGA people in the chat asked me to do. They were like, go find it, sucker. Go find it. Ha ha ha. Here it is, everybody. Let's listen.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Okay, wait a second. Somebody in the chat is saying there's no audio. So let me just double check this out real quick. Bring it back up. Here we go. Now let's get to the part where where Trump says it's all a hoax. It's all a hoax.
Yeah, to get your story straight, not that Donald Trump has ever been particularly consistent on the matter of Jeffrey Epstein. But today, yet another whiplash moment in the Trump administration having to do with what exactly the American people are being asked to believe. For starters, just so it's top of mind, recall the way Donald Trump himself spoke of the controversy not even 1 month ago.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work.
Your Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're...
Controversy not even 1 month ago.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. Some stupid Republicans...
Look at the controversy not even 1 month ago.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work.
Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were.
So, Trump says it's a stupid hoax when his own base is saying release the files. MAGA people, how many of you want Trump to release the Epstein files? If you're a MAGA person, well, anybody, you could, even if you're not MAGA, left, right, whatever. If you want Trump to release the Epstein files, put a 1 in the chat. I just want to see. If you want him to release them, put a 1 in the chat. Is releasing the Epstein files a distraction? Put a 1 in the chat. No, I'm joking. Put a 2 in the chat if you think releasing the Epstein files is a distraction. Put a 2 if you think it's a distraction. If you want them to be released, put a 1. You know, if it's a hoax or a distraction, put a 2 in the chat. It's a hoax, it's a distraction. But if you don't believe it's a distraction and you want him to release it, put a 1 in the chat. You know, you can't have it both ways. Nobody, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. You can't have it both ways. You got to make up your damn mind. Do you want them to be released? If you want them to be released, then it's not a distraction. If you don't, if you believe it's a distraction, then you don't want them to be released. It's very simple. Daggone. I mean, come on. You know, see, this is where being fair comes into play. At least be fair with your own fellow Americans. I mean, stand for what you stand for, but be true about it. Don't be phony about it. OK, you can't have it both ways. Just like a Democrat can't say they want health care for all and then not vote for it. OK, so it's just called being true. All right. You can't say you are going to stop. You're not trying to be involved in foreign wars anymore and then go get involved in foreign wars. Come on. Come on now. You see, let's just keep it real. Let's hear this one more time.
Trump himself spoke of the controversy not even 1 month ago.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work.
Truth Social this morning, you mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling?
I lost a lot of faith in certain.
So here's Trump again. Trump is going to talk, and he's going to say that the Russian thing is a hoax. You see, he's going to also say the Russia thing is a hoax, that that Putin says the Russian thing is also a hoax, that he also knows is a hoax, right? And that's very interesting because where does Putin not agree with Trump is a good question. Where does Putin now? Putin says he agrees that if Trump was the president, none of this war wouldn't have happened with Ukraine. But Trump was the president while the war was going on, and he sold weapons to Ukraine. OK, does that mean what Putin is saying is true or false? OK, then you move forward here on this stage. He says that Putin believes that the Russia is a hoax. Right. But at the same time that he says that, you know, Russian media, state media is playing pictures of Melania naked. Right. I don't know. You tell me. Like, it seems like they're not really sure about what they stand on themselves outside of some secret relationship. That's what it seems like to me, because it's obvious that Trump did sell weapons to Ukraine when he was president the first time. That's very obvious. He could have stopped it. He didn't. And he sold weapons. It's obvious he's selling weapons to Ukraine, to the EU right now, to give to the Ukraine. That's obvious, right? So again, he's not out. He didn't pull back from being engaged in foreign wars. It's obvious that he's involved in the Israel conflict. He hasn't pulled back from foreign wars, but, you know, I'm not sure. Let's listen.
Directly back then, that is a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, businesslike, and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe, thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous business representatives here, and I think, you know, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. We look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We interfered with by the Russia hoax.
Interfered with by the Russia hoax. Okay, so you heard it. He brought that up, right? He called the Russia hoax, right? He said that was a hoax. That's very interesting. Okay, that's okay that he calls it a hoax. I think it's fine that he calls it a hoax. If he believes that it's a hoax, I think, why not? Why shouldn't he call it a hoax, right? But on the flip side, he also called the Epstein files a hoax. He used that language that he volunteered himself. It's his own language that he's volunteering. And let's just examine that again.
If you were trying to convince the public that there's not to see a very good idea to get your story straight. Not that Donald Trump has ever been particularly consistent on the matter of Jeffrey Epstein, but today, yet another whiplash moment in the Trump administration having to do with what exactly the American people are being asked to believe. For starters, just so it's top of mind, recall the way Donald Trump himself spoke of the controversy not even 1 month ago.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated. Stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
He's talking about the MAGA people right there. People like Joe Rogan. When they started saying release the files, Trump came out against people like that. And because he ran on the platform that he was going to release the files on day one. And they didn't do that. Kash Patel said day one. Bondi, day one. Trump, day one. It's day, what is it, 6 times 30, 6 months in, you know, it's in hundreds of days now, pretty much. What is that, 90, 100, exactly 180 days into it. So Trump has not released these files yet. And when he got pressure from the public, this was Trump's response. After he chose his own words, he's the one who chose day one. How do you explain day one? Was that a hoax that he said that? Did he really not say day one?
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try.
So he's acknowledging that some Republicans are stupid, and he's talking about people like Joe Rogan. It's his own base that he's talking to. This was not, Democrats were not the ones who ran on release the Epstein files. It was actually Trump himself. It was MAGA people themselves. They are the ones who chose that platform specifically, right? And when Trump was elected, they expected that he would do that because he said it a million times. Just like they expected that he wouldn't be using a bunch of money and dealing with foreign wars. By the way, when you sell weapons to the EU, that doesn't put money in the everyday American's pocket. That puts money in a rich corporation's pocket that got the biggest tax breaks of all time under Trump. So it seems like he's doing a lot of weaseling, trying to get out of it, like what support is. It doesn't matter. You're still giving weapons to Ukraine. You're still involving USA in a war. And Putin is on the other side of that war. It doesn't matter. And you promise to get out of wars, but you're still in a summit talking about a war. This is what Joe Rogan said.
So here's what I don't get. He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up. Look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating
Joe Rogan is talking about you MAGA supporters in the chat. You think he's playing chess. He's not even playing checkers, is what Joe Rogan's analysis is. And he supported Trump. He was a diehard Trump supporter. Without Joe Rogan, it's possible that he would not have a lot of his base. And now Joe Rogan is saying, he's one of the people that said, release the files. Why aren't you releasing the files? Are there more people in the files we need to know about? Is it harming our country? Are there more Democrats in the files? Why are you protecting Democrats? He's saying that. Why are you protecting anyone? Are there Supreme Court justices in the files? Are there Republicans even in the files? Obviously, there's some very important people to the United States of America that are in the files, or they would have released it if these people were not important. That's what Joe Rogan is saying. But let's hear it again.
Here's what I don't get. He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate.
So, Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Trump is at a meeting, at a summit that he created himself about Ukraine. Joe Rogan was right about that.
James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files.
He's investigating Jack Smith. Jack Smith is the one that investigated the leaks, Trump taking the top secret information from the White House to Mar-a-Lago and showing it to other people that don't have top secret clearance. Some of those people were from other nations, some maybe not. No one knows the full extent because that's still, that's been shut down by Trump, by the way. Trump actually shut it down himself. So you're not going to see that until there's a Democrat in the White House or you have a Democrat-led Congress. You won't see those things. You won't get a real chance to see it all because Trump is also keeping that secret. So while he's keeping the Epstein files secret that he calls a hoax, he's keeping the Jack Smith thing secret. That must also be a hoax. Then it's also the Russia thing that's a hoax. Every single thing tends to be a hoax to Trump. And what I'm saying is that if one is a hoax, are others, is it all a hoax? Are the Epstein files also a hoax? And the MAGA people can't even explain what a hoax means. Now there's people in the chat talking about it's a distraction. He doesn't mean hoax. It means distraction. Okay, so you're saying that all those things are all distractions. Even the Epstein files are a distraction now. That's the new MAGA talking point.
If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up.
That's interesting because Joe Rogan seems to think that what Trump is doing is a distraction, that he's trying to distract people from the Epstein files, everything that he's doing. And I myself, I agree with it. I mean, he's looking for things where there's nothing. He's in DC. By the way, I'm going to follow up on DC today because there's been some movement happening. The state of DC has taken the Trump administration to court. So there's going to be a ruling and a judgment on his ability to control the police in DC. But I'm going to follow up with that later on today, y'all. But in any case, let's stick on this.
If look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing. Someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake. Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files.
And see, the thing about it was so telling is that MAGA people agree with everything Trump does. Invade DC, they agree with it. Shut down the Jack Smith trial, the Jack Smith case, and keep it secret. Keep all the information secret. They agree with that. They agree with everything. They agree with this meeting, with the summit with Ukraine, although Trump said he was not be involved in the shit anymore. They agree with that. And when you ask them, so the only one thing that people like Joe Rogan are asking for, the Epstein files, these people are even willing to say they don't even care about the Epstein files anymore. That is very, very telling. So you mean 4 things are on the table and you can't concede to one of them? 4 things Trump is doing and you can't say that one of them is wrong? You can't even say that keeping the Epstein files a secret is wrong anymore? You can't even get yourself to say that? You see, this gives you a look into the pathology of a lot of these MAGA supporters. It's their way with everything only or nothing at all. That's literally what they're telling you. No accountability for anything, not even the raping and pillaging and sex trafficking of little girls. That's what they're telling you. And there can be nothing lower than that. There can be nothing lower than that. But they ran on a platform of also, the president is being, espionage is being committed. They're being blackmailed. Israel's blackmailing because of the Epstein tapes, the Epstein files. Israel's blackmailing. And then we find out Putin knows a little about that too. Putin's blackmailing. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a Democrat. I agree. Yeah, something's fishy about that. And then all of a sudden, when they have a chance to release them, they decide, nah, they don't want them released anymore. The Trump supporters don't even care anymore. I mean, this is really, really telling. This is really, really telling. Yeah, folks, you call it like you see it. I can only call it like I see it. Free DC, fuck Donald Trump. We are at war for real. The everyday person that's going out eating their sandwich, buying a Subway sandwich is at war, whether they realize it or not. The teacher that's going to school tomorrow to teach a kid is at war, whether she or he realizes or not. It doesn't matter. You FBI agents out there on the street walking around, you are at war right now, whether you realize it or not. And you're in a war against the American people, period. Because you followed the orders of someone who is anti-American and is part of a war against the United States of America, whether you like it or not. You're pathetic. Don't stop saying you're out there looking for drug trafficking. No, you're out there to hurt American people because you are at war against the American people. That is what my analysis tells me. And do I give a fuck what you think? No. Will I be following your rules? Absolutely not. I'm not stupid. I can read the Constitution for myself. I don't need you to tell me what the fuck it says. Do I agree with the Supreme Court? Hell no. They probably in the Epstein files too, y'all. On that note, I'm going to be back with y'all in a little bit soon later on today. Y'all be good, everybody. I appreciate you for showing up. The left, I appreciate you so much because you had to get battered and beaten and treated unfairly. And the right, fuck you. I don't give a hell about you anyway. You know, thanks for coming to my podcast anyway. So on that note, I'm out. I'll be back later on today. We're going to talk about DC. Release the Epstein files, yo. Release the files.
They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Somebody scared. No pardon, no peace. No pardon, no peace. You better pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump. You better do it, cause she got the goods on you, fool. And it's coming out. Thank you for sending her to a minimum camp so that she doesn't snitch on you anymore. Now follow through, goddammit. You better hurry up. Time is running out. The midterm elections are coming, and people know that you are in the Epstein file.